My brother confessed his love to my wife, and it ended in a serious fight. I never thought my life would spiral the way it did. You always hear about drama tearing families apart, but you never think it'll happen to you. My brother and I have always been close. We're only 2 years apart, so growing up, we were practically inseparable. He was the cool, confident one, and I was more of the quiet, responsible older brother. I never imagined he'd be the one to betray me in a way that cut so deep. Let me back up a bit. I've been married to my wife, Anna, for 5 years. We met in our mid-20s when we both worked at the same marketing firm. She was this incredible mix of beauty and brains, confident, outgoing, the kind of person who could light up any room. We clicked immediately. A few months of dating turned into a whirlwind romance, and before I knew it, we were saying our vows in front of family and friends. My brother, James, was my best man, smiling beside me as I married the love of my life. I never thought that years later, he'd be the reason our marriage was hanging by a thread. James and Anna always got along great. Maybe a little too great. He was charming, witty, and good-looking, basically the kind of guy who never had trouble with women. I never thought anything of it when he and Anna would chat and joke around at family gatherings. She always said he was like a second brother to her. But looking back now, I wonder if I was just too blind or too trusting to see the signs. Things started to change a few months ago. James had just gone through a rough breakup, and he was leaning on us a lot. He'd drop by our house unannounced, sometimes late at night, saying he just needed someone to talk to. At first, I didn't mind. He's my brother, and I wanted to be there for him. But then it started happening more often, and I noticed he was always asking for Anna, specifically, texting her, calling her, asking for advice about his relationship problems. She'd comfort him, telling him he deserved better, that he was a great guy who just needed to find the right person. It seemed innocent, but something about it just felt off. One night, it all came crashing down. I got home from work late, exhausted from a long day, and found James and Anna sitting on the couch, talking in hushed voices. I could see James was upset, his face red and eyes watery. Anna looked concerned, holding his hand like she was consoling him. I didn't think much of it at first, until I heard what he said next. "I can't do this anymore, Anna. I can't keep pretending like I don't feel this way. I'm in love with you." I stood frozen in the doorway, my mind racing. Did I hear that right? Anna looked shocked, her eyes wide and her mouth slightly open. She immediately pulled her hand away, glancing nervously in my direction when she saw me standing there. "James, you need to stop," she said, her voice trembling. "This isn't right. I'm married to your brother." I felt my blood boiling. I stormed into the living room, not caring if I was making a scene. "What the hell, James? What did you just say to my wife?" He looked up at me, his face a mix of guilt and defiance. "I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean for you to hear that. I've been holding this in for so long." My hands were shaking. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was my brother, my best friend, confessing his love to my wife right in front of me. "Are you kidding me? This is how you repay me? By trying to steal my wife?" Anna got up, trying to calm me down. "It's not like that, babe. He's just going through something. He's confused." But I wasn't having any of it. Confused? Confused doesn't make you confess your love to someone else's wife, Anna. This is betrayal, plain and simple. James stood up, and I could see the hurt in his eyes, but I didn't care. "I'm sorry, okay? I never wanted to hurt you. I just couldn't keep it in anymore." I snapped. All the anger, all the frustration I'd been holding back just erupted. "You're not sorry. You're just sorry you got caught. Get out of my house, James." He tried to plead, but I was done listening. I grabbed him by the collar and pushed him towards the door, fueled by a mix of rage and heartbreak. Anna was shouting at me to stop, but I couldn't. I shoved James out, slamming the door behind him. I stood there, breathing heavily, trying to process what had just happened. Anna tried to explain, saying she had no idea James felt that way, that she never gave him any reason to think she'd ever leave me for him. But my mind was spinning. I felt betrayed by both of them, even if she hadn't done anything wrong. I couldn't help but wonder how long this had been going on, how long James had been harboring these feelings while pretending to be happy for us. Reddit update 1 week later. Opie, I caught my brother confessing his love to my wife. What do I do now? Hey, everyone. I'm not really sure how to start this because my mind is still all over the place. Long story short, I caught my brother, who I've always been super close to, confessing his love to my wife right in front of me. He's been coming around a lot lately because he's been going through a rough breakup, and I was trying to be supportive, but now I feel like a total idiot. My wife, Anna, says she didn't know about his feelings and that she shut him down immediately, but I can't help feeling betrayed by both of them. I haven't spoken to my brother since the incident, and he's been texting and calling nonstop, begging me to talk. Anna's been trying to get me to sit down with him, saying he's just confused and emotional, but I honestly don't know if I can even look at him right now. I don't think Anna's at fault here, but I can't help feeling hurt. How do I even begin to move past this? Do I talk to him? Cut him out of my life? Any advice would be appreciated. Top comment. Wow, Opie, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. It sounds like a really tough spot. First off, it's good that your wife shut it down immediately, which shows her commitment to you. As for your brother, he's clearly crossing a line, but it seems like he's in a really bad place emotionally. If you feel up to it, maybe have a conversation with him, if only to set boundaries and make it clear that this behavior is unacceptable. You have every right to feel betrayed, but try not to make any hasty decisions in the heat of the moment. Opie's response. Thanks for your support. I know I need to talk to him, but I'm honestly scared of what might happen if I do. I'm still so angry, and I don't trust myself not to lose it again. I've spent my whole life being the one who's there for him, and now I feel like he's thrown it all back in my face. You're right, I shouldn't make any hasty decisions, but this betrayal cuts so deep, and it's hard to know what to do. Anna's been amazing through all of this, but I feel like I'm letting her down by not handling this better. I just need time to cool off before I confront him again. Comment. Damn, Opie, this sounds rough. Your brother definitely crossed a line, but it's good that your wife isn't hiding anything from you. If she's being honest and clear with you, that's a huge positive. Your brother's actions are his responsibility, not hers. Take your time to process everything, but don't let it consume your relationship with Anna. Maybe some time apart from your brother would help everyone get some clarity. Opie's response. Thanks for pointing that out. I know Anna's not to blame, and I don't want her to think I'm doubting her loyalty. It's just hard to separate my anger at James from the overall situation. She's been there for me every step of the way, but I keep replaying that moment in my head, and it's messing with me. I think you're right, I need space from him to sort through my feelings before I can even think about having a real conversation. It's just hard because I've never had to set this kind of boundary with him before. A week passed, and I was still a mess. I'd barely spoken to Anna, and every time she tried to bring up James, I shut it down. I couldn't look at her without hearing his voice in my head, telling her he was in love with her. The anger hadn't faded, it had only simmered, turning into this constant, burning resentment. James kept trying to reach out. He left voicemails, sent long texts, even showed up at my work once, but I refused to see him. I couldn't trust myself to keep my cool. I knew I needed to talk to him eventually, but every time I thought about it, all I saw was him sitting on my couch, pouring his heart out to my wife like I was nothing. Finally, Anna convinced me to sit down with him. She said we needed to talk it out, that we couldn't just let this tear our family apart. Reluctantly, I agreed. We met at a park near our house, a neutral space where I hoped things wouldn't get too heated. But the moment I saw him, all the anger came rushing back. James looked like hell. He'd lost weight, his eyes were bloodshot, and he had this look of desperation that made me feel a tiny twinge of pity. But I wasn't ready to let him off the hook. Thanks for meeting me, he said, his voice shaky. I nodded, keeping my distance. Just say what you need to say, James. He ran a hand through his hair, looking more vulnerable than I'd ever seen him. "I'm sorry, man. I never wanted things to get this far. I've been dealing with a lot, and I didn't mean to dump my shit on you and Anna. I don't know how to explain it." I clenched my fists, trying to stay calm. "You're my brother, James. We've been through everything together. And then you pull this? You think confessing your love to my wife is just something we can brush off?" He hung his head, tears welling up in his eyes. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I'm not asking for that. I need you to know that I never wanted to hurt you." Anna, who'd been standing off to the side, stepped forward. "James, this isn't fair to any of us. We care about you, but you crossed a line." I could see the pain in her eyes too. She didn't want to lose him, but she was stuck in the middle of something she never asked for. I turned to her, feeling the weight of everything I'd been holding back. "Anna, how did this happen? How did you not see this coming?" She looked at me, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I swear, I never knew. He's been going through so much, and I was just trying to be there for him. I never thought he'd take it this way." James tried to chime in, but I snapped, my voice louder than I intended. "No, James, you don't get to play the victim here. You put us all in this mess. You have no idea what you've done to my marriage." That's when things got heated. James stepped closer, frustration boiling over. "You think I wanted this? You think I enjoy feeling like this, ruining everything? I hate myself for it, but I couldn't keep lying." I shoved him back, and he stumbled, his eyes flashing with a mix of anger and guilt. Anna screamed, stepping between us as I lunged forward, my fist connecting with James's jaw. He hit the ground hard, blood trickling from his lip. For a split second, everything went silent, the world stopped, and I realized what I'd done. Anna pulled me back, shouting for us to stop. James sat up, wiping the blood from his mouth, but he didn't fight back. He just looked at me with this broken expression, like he'd lost everything that mattered. I felt sick, my own anger turning against me. I walked away, leaving James sitting there in the dirt, Anna running after me, pleading for us to calm down. I got in my car and drove, not knowing where I was going, just needing to get away. I couldn't believe how far things had gone, how badly we'd hurt each other. Reddit update 2 weeks later. Opie, I fought my brother after he confessed his love to my wife. Now I don't know if I'll ever forgive him. I don't know why I'm even posting this, but I need to get it off my chest. 2 weeks ago, I met up with my brother to talk after he confessed his feelings for my wife. Things got heated, and I ended up punching him. I'm not proud of it, and I feel like an idiot for letting my anger get the best of me. I'm just so hurt and confused. Anna's been great through all of this, supportive, patient, but I can see the toll it's taking on her too. She feels guilty, even though she did nothing wrong. I've tried to talk to her about how I'm feeling, but every time I do, I just get choked up. I don't know how to move on from this. James hasn't reached out since the fight, and honestly, I don't know if I want him to. He was my best friend, my brother, and now I feel like I don't even know him. My parents are caught in the middle, trying to patch things up, but it's like putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive him. Part of me wants to, but another part of me just can't forget the betrayal. How do you forgive someone who's supposed to have your back but ends up stabbing you in the heart instead? Top comment. Opie, your feelings are completely valid. It's okay to feel betrayed, angry, and hurt. You don't owe your brother forgiveness just because he's family. Take the time you need to heal, and don't rush into fixing things if you're not ready. It sounds like Anna's been really supportive, so lean on each other and communicate openly about your feelings. As for your brother, it might take time or it might never happen. Either way, do what feels right for you. OP's response. Thanks for this. I think I needed to hear that it's okay not to forgive him right now. Everyone keeps talking about family and how important it is to stick together, but I can't just pretend like nothing happened. I appreciate Anna so much, and I'm trying to lean on her more, but this has put such a strain on us. I don't want to push her away, but I also don't want to rush into fixing things with James just because it's what's expected. I'm taking things one day at a time and focusing on healing for now. Comment. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I can't even imagine how it must feel to have your brother do something like this. It sounds like you're doing your best to manage your emotions, but don't be afraid to put some distance between you and him. You're not obligated to forgive him just because he's family. Take care of yourself first. OP's response. Thank you for your kind words. I've always been so close to my brother that this whole thing feels like a nightmare I can't wake up from. I never thought I'd be in a situation where I'd need to create distance between us, but right now, it feels necessary. I'm trying to focus on my own mental health and my relationship with Anna. I've started seeing a therapist, which has been helping me process everything, and I'm hopeful that I'll eventually find some peace with all of this. But yeah, for now, space is what I need. The weeks after the fight were some of the hardest of my life. I tried to focus on my marriage, but there was this constant tension between Anna and me. She'd been nothing but supportive, constantly reassuring me that she loved me, that nothing had happened between her and James, but I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. Not from her, but from my brother. It was like a dark cloud hanging over everything. I started going to therapy, something I'd never considered before, but Anna suggested it might help. It was tough at first, talking about my feelings, admitting how much I was struggling, but it turned out to be exactly what I needed. My therapist, a soft-spoken older woman named Linda, helped me understand that it was okay to feel hurt and angry, that I didn't have to rush to forgive James just because he was family. I slowly started opening up to Anna about everything I was feeling, the anger, the pain, the insecurity that I hadn't been good enough to keep this from happening. She listened, held me, and never once made me feel like my feelings were invalid. We started rebuilding, piece by piece, focusing on us and what we needed to move forward. James eventually reached out again, this time with a handwritten letter. In it, he apologized, not just for what he'd said to Anna but for how he'd hurt me. He talked about how he was seeing a therapist, trying to figure out why he'd crossed that line, why he'd risked his relationship with me for something that was never going to happen. He didn't ask for forgiveness, he just wanted me to know that he was working on himself, that he understood if I never wanted to see him again. It took me months before I could respond. I didn't know what to say, how to navigate the wreckage of our relationship. I eventually wrote back, telling him that I was glad he was getting help, but that I needed more time. I wasn't ready to let him back into my life, but I didn't hate him anymore. I was just tired. Tired of the drama, tired of the pain, tired of feeling like I had to choose between my marriage and my brother. Anna and I are doing better now. We're in couples therapy, working on our communication, learning to be more honest with each other about our needs and fears. It hasn't been easy, but we're committed to making it work. I've learned a lot about myself through all of this, how to set boundaries, how to stand up for what's important to me, and how to forgive without forgetting. As for James, we're still not on speaking terms, but I'm hopeful that one day we'll find our way back to each other. Not as the brothers we were, but as two people who have grown and learned from their mistakes. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive him, but I'm learning to let go of the anger, little by little. Life doesn't always go the way you plan, and sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who hurt you the deepest. But you keep moving forward, picking up the pieces, and figuring out how to put yourself back together. One day at a time.